We're here at the North Carolina Kayak Fishing Association, and what we're going to talk about is winter maintenance and getting ready for the new season. And what I've got here is my buddy Chris, who's the kayak whisperer, and you can tell from the beard that he is fully seasoned and capable of giving us a good presentation. So, with that, I'll turn it over to Chris.
Thanks, Steve. All right, everyone. So tonight we're going to go over kind of maintenance on the kayak. It's January. They're talking this weekend's coming up. It's going to be lows in the 30s in the morning. It's probably not going to be the Saturday you're going to go fish, but it could be the Saturday you just go out in the garage and just try to figure stuff out. You think about kayaks like a car. You know, brakes, tires, suspension, shocks. There's always something to get fixed. And though it's not as crazy expensive on a kayak as it would be on a vehicle, there are like things that just have a wear out date to them. So I kind of wanted to go through some of those. I figured the easiest way to was go kind of bow to stern. You know, some of the things I want to touch on, like the native, can be brought over to like Hobie. A lot of the things work in a similar fashion. So whether you have a native or a Hobie, or even some of the newer ones like Jackson or Old Town's Foot Drive, some of that stuff's it'll play over in some way. Notoriously, I'm always on the water, which is awesome, and we live here on coastal North Carolina, so it's all 90% salt. So I always have little issues with things, like the zipper on my life jacket always gets kind of nasty. So if it's not working smoothly like this, especially at this time of year, I found just some fresh water and just an old toothbrush or dollar store for like a stiff bristle toothbrush. Just kind of scratch on it, get those kind of salt crystals and junk off of it. If that doesn't fix it, there's a product called Saltex, and the other thing I can't think of, same theory put out by West Marine under their name. It's kind of a concentrate, you know, a couple ounces of it to, you know, about 32 ounces of water, and it kind of helps break down the salt. And then just kind of looking over your life jacket, you know, are your adjustment straps in good shape? Are they framed? Are they still easy to use through the tri-glide buckles for adjustment? If you find they're not, a lot of the stuff, you know, is sewn and can be repaired without being like, well, I've just got to buy a new life jacket. But I really like this $170 life jacket I fish in. Doesn't mean you have to get rid of it. Maybe just take it to a local canvas shop or something like that. It has more of a high-powered sewing machine that can reattach a strap or clean things up for you. Usually the first thing that goes, native wilderness perception. Always either do like a toggle or what they call the comfort carry handle. And those tended to eventually break because the toggle was with rope and it went up into the handle, and that rope would finally wear away and the handle would snap. On the comfort grip, it was a nylon strap, and it would wear because there was a hard plastic piece in it for lifting it, but it was a very dull knife and slowly kind of wear that away. So on the toggles, you know, this was the rope that would always break, and it just feeds up inside of itself, comes out one side, tie a half hitch, pull it back through again, and that was your carry handle. You know, rope kind of came between your middle finger and your ring finger. Well, when that rope snapped, you came back with nothing, and you had no way to grab it. So simple to repair. If you have an older style kayak, you'll see the hole, feed it back through again, redo your handle. It's very simple. On the comfort grips, there's two styles. They're comfort grip, and they also had what they call the briefcase handle. So the comfort grips, that's your carry handle, simple, but this is attached with two screws. There's going to be a brass nut in there, so you have to worry about, like, there's no way I'm going to get my hand all the way to my bow to take the screw out. I can't reach it with a wrench. The nuts are molded in the boat. You just take them off, put the new handle in. Remember, these go to the inside. Take those screws, put them back through again, tighten them down, you got a brand new handle. Their side handles were a little bit different. Attaching the same way, same thought process, but it was also your paddle holder. So you'll find those will have the bungee. They'll attach the same way, so you lay your paddle in, your bungee will come up and hook over. Be a little J hook on the side of it. Again, the brass nuts molded into the boat, just take the screws out. These guys are going to fit in like that again. Run your screws back through, you're all set. Next, Hatches. If they're the hard hatches, so two things to think about there is the hinge where it comes up and down, and to make sure that both those locks are engaging when you close it, so you have a nice tight seal and water can't leak in. If it's a rubber style hatch going over a combing like this, using a product called 303, which is a kayak cleaner, it's kind of an aerospace cleaner. It was kind of done for planes and RVs, but it's kind of transferred over into the kayak side of the house too. Think about Armor All with a different chemical makeup to clean boats and just like those RVs and planes. Squirting a little bit either in the hatch or just on a rag and wiping the inside of your hatch lid. You'll clean it up and it'll help it fit better. And if they start to get a little stiff and hard to get on and off, it'll kind of lubricate it and make it easier. Check your hatch. A lot of them now will come with a small kind of a lanyard so you can't lose it overboard.
I store my kayak indoors.
Yep.
In the winter. Should I take that hatch off and leave it off so they can kind of air out inside the hatch?
You can if you want to. Yeah, I mean
Does it make any difference whether you do it or not?
I don't think it wouldn't be a bad thing. You can get kind of that musty water smell out of it. Make sure it's all nice and dried out inside. So yeah, that's something you could do. I mean, I store most of my stuff out in the boatyard, so I got to keep all my hatches on. When it rains, it'll fill up with water. So just moving back to the drive system. For native and their propel, for lubricating it, it's a Teflon grease. This is the kit they have. The applicator to stick it in to lubricate it. On natives, they have a set screw right here you just take out. Kind of works like a grease fitting. Squeeze a little bit in the needle, give it a couple pumps, squeeze it in, give it a good, smear it around a little bit, doesn't take a whole lot. If you want to do this internal cassette, just 3/16 Allen wrench will take off the prop. 3/16 nippled spanner wrench will take off the cassette. Again, you can put a little bit of lube, Teflon lube on that, slide it back in. Before it goes all the way in, if you rotate your pedals and the pin turns, the gears are lined up, and go ahead and tighten it back down again. Very simple. I mean, one thing just through the year to make sure your drive is working well, just rinse it down with fresh water every time you use it, get all the salt and junk off of it, store it inside if possible, just keep it out of the elements. I know with Hobie, it's kind of an open chain system, so again, especially in our environment, salt water, give it a good rinse, use whatever they prescribe. I'm not a Hobie dealer, so I don't want to say use this or use that. Whatever Hobie suggests you use to keep the chain functioning, lubricated, do that. I know Jackson is in the same, being a closed system, recommends a Teflon grease for lubricating it. And we always have customers, that have bought a boat from us, or when they're getting ready to buy the boat, or have had it for a while. Well, when should I lubricate it? I tell them, just kind of think about a car every 3,000 miles. If you're going every Saturday and Sunday, you probably want to do it every 2 or so months. If you're going twice a month, you can probably wait 6 months. The rudder systems are going to work very similar, again, on all the foot-driven kayaks. And the principle of how this works is also if you have a kayak you paddle that has a rudder that you use your foot pegs to steer it with. It always works on a give and a take. So it's kind of a connected circuit. It's a stainless steel cable. If you have an older kayak, you use your feet to steer your rudder. Again, it's a stainless steel cable, excuse me, running through a small tube to protect the kayak from the stainless steel going back and forth, not sawing into the plastic. So if this feels a little sloppy, if it's loose, or if it's not turning and it's very difficult, most likely you probably got some sand or salt and grit inside the tube that the cable's running through. Again, you can cure that with a little bit of fresh water. Just kind of flush the junk out of the tubes. If this handle's a little wobbly on native, you can pop it off. There's a set screw inside. You can tighten it down a little bit. That'll sure everything up. If it feels like it's too loose or too stiff and you cleaned it, everything's run out and it's fine, you'll adjust the rudder tension with a screw that goes in where it meets where everything turns at. If you're having a lot of issues and your rudder's not working, or the lines, the stainless steel is frayed and snapped, because you already have that tube running through the kayak, it's really easy to fix. You just feed it back through the tube, crimp it on where it needs to be crimped, on both ends, and it's operating again. If you're using a foot-driven kayak, and it's just real hard and tough to push, most likely it's just a lot of junk that's built up in your foot pegs, in the tracks that it runs on. So again, just a good douse of fresh water and kind of get all that sand and junk and grit out is what's going to make that stuff function a lot better. So most people do an anchor trolley, they do it on the side. When we install it, we try to go right below the parting line on the kayak, which is right here. Keeps it above the water line, but gives you room to maneuver the anchor back and forth. Doesn't get in the way of your rudder functions or anything that steerage. So if all that stuff isn't working really well through your aluminum tracks, again, you probably have some corrosion or some gunk built up inside of it. For my natives, when I clean my tracks and my propels, because the rudder is in the back, I usually prop it up on something like a 5-gallon bucket and just put a nozzle on the hose, put it on jet, and just kind of power wash out the tracks. You'd be surprised. They'll look kind of clean, and you'll just see a bunch of sand and grit come out at the other end of it, like kind of almost invisible. But it does kind of keep things working smoothly, especially if you utilize those track systems to adjust the way you fish. Like I'm fly fishing today, it's 2 windy tomorrow, I want to go trolling, and you're putting Scotty or ramrod holders on and off different directions. They start getting hard to get in and out. It's just salt and grit building up in your track systems, and again, some fresh water and a regular kind of nozzle trigger sprayer for your hose is enough water pressure to kind of wipe that junk out of your track system. Now, I mean, everyone now is really going to like comfortable seats. We're in these boats way longer than we normally were fishing. Every company's coming out with some form of kind of breathable, comfortable frame chair. But over time and use and sun and sitting in it and all that, they get kind of worn and stretched. So places to look at, like the wear points or where it mounts, where this tri-glide buckle comes in here, where they get sewn to the back, where if it's fraying, and all these things are simple fixes on really any brand. A lot of stuff you can fix in a kayak with some fresh water and a little bit of TLC, and you'll be surprised what comes out of little tiny crevices in the kayak worth of dirt and sand. So kind of exercise. If the stuff on the boat can be exercised, exercise it now. If it's not like it was when you first got it, just give it a good cleaning. Just a simple cleaning. And if that doesn't work, there's something else. And if you found it now, we can order the part, get it on there, get it fixed, get it working again for you. So when it's time to fish, your seat's not broken.
If you get water in the hull, where's it likely to come in other than the hatch and whatnot?
It's going to be the hatch. It's going to be, so nothing's like watertight. So, you can come anywhere where it's something other than the actual physically molded kayak. In the summertime, it could be condensation, where, it's 90 degrees out, you have a sealed plastic bubble, sun's beating down on it in the back of the truck, you slip it in 80-degree water, and some of that moisture kind of comes out and kind of gets the inside wet. That's most likely what's going to come in from. It's not unusual to have a little bit of water in your boat after fishing. If you have a lot of water in your kayak after fishing, there's probably an issue that we need to kind of figure out what it is and address it.
What's the best soap to clean the kayak with?
I would say like a gentle dish soap. I mean, if you think about it, if you can put your hands in it and it not be, irritating to you, then that's what you can scrub your kayak with. You got some kind of caked on, baked on stains. A boat brush works well. I mean, it's polyethylene, so it's super durable. It's white water plastic. So you can get a boat brush and kind of scrub on it a little bit, clean the grit out of it. Very low setting with a power washer. Take off if I was going to do this kayak, take the drive off, take the plate out, get rid of the seat. It just stripped down the hull as best I could, and just with a power wash on a really low pressure, just to kind of knock some of the grit and gunk out of it. Being careful, if you have traction pads that come in the kayak, you don't want to get underneath that with that water pressure and just kind of peel them off. Just kind of simple maintenance throughout the year will cause you from spending a whole Saturday in January tearing your boat apart. Like, oh, and I found this. Oh, and I found that. But a lot of stuff's really, it's minor. There's not a whole lot that can go wrong with it, but the things that go wrong with it can make it kind of inconvenient. I mean, this is 97 pounds without the drive system. If the handle broke, it would be fun to carry and load, kind of stuff, you know. And they only break at the ramp.
Yep.
Or coming out of the back of your truck when you do this.
Do you put 303 or something on your hulls?
I do, and it's a good protectant, and it's got some UV inhibitors built into it. Again, think about it's going to do to your boat. It's going to do to your kayak what Armor All is going to do to your vehicle. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to squirt it on like you would Windex on a window. We found those old cotton T-shirts the best way to kind of apply it. To smear it on. I think it's dry in 5 minutes. It's ready to go in the water 5 minutes after using it. It dries pretty quickly, but after 5 minutes of application, you can slip it right in the water and go.
What is that product?
It's called 303. I mean, I've kind of gotten myself into a routine, like done fishing, rods, boat, drive, put everything away, go take a shower. Any other questions? Awesome, guys. Well, thank you again for coming.